Hello, real world. It's Dr. Keith, the VR doctor, back again in virtual reality to continue my exploration of what it's like to consult in VR. And I'm doing so today from the inside of the International Space Station. Isn't that cool? Now, today we're going to talk about how you take examination from the outside world to the inside world, from reality to virtual reality. So how do we do that? You'd think that virtual reality would be a space that you would only be able to interact with people, as I've shown you so far, either through the small screen of Facebook Messenger, or if I manage to bring them into virtual reality here next to me. And of course, it's not reality. I can't put my hands on a patient or physically examine them. But that doesn't necessarily mean that virtual reality is constrained only to the spoken interaction or the visual interaction, or even interacting with the person's choices as to how they appear or what the setting is or what devices they bring, objects they brought in with them. No, it's potentially about integrating the existing hardware that's out there available for consumers right now that would allow a doctor or clinician or another person to understand some of the physical findings that might help improve a doctor or nurse or clinician, help improve their ability to consult and examine in virtual reality. So today I'm just going to show you around here. I've got all my props down there. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring up my screen just now. And for those that don't know what I look like, the screen as it pops up behind you will show you my website. Yes, that's me. Hopefully, well, I'm going to get my little picture like that. It's relatively close. I've got glasses on here. I don't have glasses there. This is my website, www.drgrimes.co.uk. You can find these videos as well as my podcast and other blog posts there. Anyway, enough of that. You're going to want to know how we examine in the outside world. So why don't we start with product number one, which is the TIM otoscope, TYM, from Cupris. Now, I've given some declaration here. I've given some non-paid advice to these guys in the past, and they've loaned me a device. And I have to say, all that aside, this is the preferred method for me of looking into patients' ears, because it's slightly techie, of course, but also it gives an excellent view of the eardrum. Now, I was hoping to show a little recording of inside my own ear, but it turns out that it's very difficult to look inside your own ear. So I'm going to put up some pictures here in the background. And what picture do we have first of all? I'm going to show you the sort of image that this takes. And this is a normal eardrum. There you go. Little rim of wax just on the outside, but there's the tympanic membrane just there. And there's the handle of one of the bones in the middle ear that helps transmit that sound from the tympanic membrane, the eardrum, through into deep inside the head to the cochlea where you can hear sound. So that's a normal one. And so I'm used to seeing normal eardrums, abnormal eardrums, and this image could have been put up by a patient themselves or a mother of a child. So I'd be able to hear the story, speak to them, and then have a look inside the ear and get a better idea of what's going on. So this is within VR. Of course, you could use this within any standard telemedicine. But what's nice about this is that if I turn around and show you the back of my head, this is actually an enormous screen. It shows a great deal of detail there as well. So it's really, really helpful for me, as opposed to this tiny little view that I often get. To have it blown up like this is really helpful. One of the things that I found when I've used this a lot, but this is a cute picture. This is with permission from a patient. This is a normal looking eardrum. However, those little sparkles in there are because this person was a car body part sprayer and naughtily declined to use ear protection, and all those little sparkles are little bits of paint. So it just goes to show you should wear your ear defenders. Anyway, well, let's get this picture out just now. I'll find a way of getting that down. Let's return the media just there. There you go. So we're back to the screen. So that's number one, smartphone otoscopes, and you can get it from Cupris, and it's available there. I think it's generally aimed at clinicians at the moment. And there are some other products on the market that are used with children. So we're going to bring this up, and I'm going to take that out of the way. And here we have Tim. So what's next up? Well, the next thing that you might want to look at is that classical item for a doctor, the stethoscope. So how might this work? Well, Echo is one of a few different products on the market. They are kind enough to give me a test version of this, which I've been using. And I found this really useful because it has a couple of things that help. Number one, it has sound cancellation. So some of the noises in the background get washed away and I can turn the volume up. But it also has the ability to record audio, which is helpful when you're trying to record it to a patient's notes, or you want to try and send it off to a specialist for an advice on something curious. So this device, how would this work in virtual reality? Well, again, there's the possibility of sharing not only audio, but video too. So I'm going to try and put this up just now, and we're going to start with one of the things you get with the sharing on this platform. You hear that? Playing again. That is a normal heartbeat. You can tell because it says normal up there, but it also sounds normal. And interestingly with Echo, you get this kind of phonograph, this cardiophonograph, this sound, this visual representation of the sound as well. Now that's not something that you would ordinarily use as a GP, but it's very interesting to see the sound changes there as well. So, lub-dub, 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 normal heartbeats. How about an abnormal one? Well, kindly they shared severe mitral regurgitation. So what does that mean? There are 4 valves in the heart, and the mitral valve is one of those valves. And that mitral valve, if it becomes diseased or as a person gets older, the blood, instead of going one way through it and going around the heart in a normal fashion, it regurgitates, it spills back up the way, decreasing the efficiency of the heart. So what does that sound like? Hope you can hear that. Yeah. So that whooshing noise, it's not as crisp. That's the sound of the blood flowing back across the way. So severe mitral regurgitation. Now, we're not going to hear that as often, but it's very, very useful to hear a normal heartbeat. You can share it with a consultant. Maybe I'd have a consultant cardiologist here with me right now, or a GP with a special interest. And patients could use this at home, or a remote clinician could share it with me here as well. And of course, it doesn't have to be in VR, but there's something quite nice about being surrounded by this sound and set up on that large screen just there. So, how do I get this back down? This is the problem for me. There we go. We'll take it out of the way. So far we've had looking in ears. We've had listening to the heart. Well, what else do you want to do? Well, one of the other things that you want to do as a GP is understand a bit more about the heart with an ECG. And here we come on to one of the final objects we're going to show you just now, which is available to the public as well, and also available to doctors within the NHS to use, and it's the Kardia device. You can see here it's a small device that you put your fingers on, and what it does is it records a live tracing of an ECG. Now, the really interesting thing about using this is it helps you identify that irregularity in a heartbeat called atrial fibrillation, where the heart beats irregularly, the disordered blood flow forms clots on the inside of the heart or on the inside of the wall, which can then scoot off into the brain and cause a stroke. So you want to identify atrial fibrillation, and you can do by feeling a pulse, perhaps. But this way is very, very accurate, and the public can do it and get reports. So how does that look? Well, again, I can imagine the patient at the other end with their fingers on the device, comme ça. And then how might that look? Well, I have a video here. This is taken from my own device. And if you watch in the background, let me just bring it up, because I think it didn't go to the start. I'm going to wind it all the way back to the start. There you go. So the app comes up, and I've got a broken button on my phone. That's why that's there. And you can see I record an ECG, put my fingers on the device, takes a moment to tune in, and you can see it starts off with a little bit of signal noise, but then that signal noise disappears beautifully, and you're left with a nice trace, which I'm glad to say looks normal, has my heart rate at the top there as well. And what it does is it records for about 30 seconds. That can then get securely shared up onto the cloud, where the clinician, with the patient's permission, can see this too. And this is an excellent way to monitor or look for atrial fibrillation, but also irregularities of heartbeats, and sometimes those funny turns that people have as well. And I've used this with my own patients already. There you go. Instant analysis, normal ECG. Happy days. You know, one of these days I'm going to discover there's something abnormal here and I'm going to scare myself. So there we go. We've had 3 devices there. We've had 3 things. We've had number 1, the Cubis otoscope. Number 2, we've had the Echo smartphone, or the Echo Smart Stethoscope. And number 3, we've had Kardia from AliveCor. 3 devices that take the real world and bring it into virtual reality, increasing the ability of me as a doctor or another clinician to help treat patients. So thank you very much for watching today. Again, I'd be delighted to hear from you if you have any questions about this. I'm very happy to share the information. My website is www.prgrimes.co.uk. My Twitter account is at Keith Grimes. And this video, along with my Quristica podcast, any blogs and other articles and links, or links to some of the talks that I give, are all here in the bar just underneath. So with that, it's goodbye. I'll speak to you next time as we explore virtual reality again. And I think right now, I'm going to spend a little bit more time getting rid of the other stuff here and just floating in space. Until next time, goodbye.